Hello on the Rockers. It's the drag and the drama with drag legend Sherry Vine and my guest co-host, the diva of Weho herself, Allusia Alusia, as we spill the tea with me, your sassy host with the sassy most. Raise a glass, let the drinks begin. It's on the rocks.
Thank you for being
Boulevard.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hey, buttons and bows and pantyhose on the Rocks podcast, a place where we're too glam to give a damn. I know nobody wants to hear this, but we are having a heat wave in Los Angeles, and it has been hot. For real, like my fake Latino tan is like dripping down my face every minute of the day. My air conditioning broke. I don't even know. Plus, my Uber drivers are not putting on the air conditioning. Is that considered a hate crime? I think so. 2 stars. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at On The Rocks On Air and on Facebook On The Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I'll show up. Info at OnTheRocksRadioShow.com. Send us your comments, your guest requests, and your guest questions. And I got plenty of your guest questions for today. The show's presented by Straw Hut Media. You can watch and listen to our now over 386 episodes. You can watch us on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV on the Outlet.tv app, Facebook Watch, streaming with pride on SVTV and on Channel 31 on the East Coast. Hello, East Coast. We proudly tape at UBN Go Studios, your one-stop place for podcasting. All right, let's get the show on the road. And we're competing with the debate, by the way, and I'd rather listen to us than that crap. Anyway, join me as my guest co-host, Allusia Alusia, emerged into the drag scene in the Pacific Northwest over 2 decades ago in punk rock hair and political statements, inspired by artists that march to the beat of their own drum like Cyndi Lauper, as well as savagery of the animal kingdom. She's obsessed with animals. She always strove to unapologetically carve out her unique spot in the ecosystem of art, with lyrics inspired by prehistoric desires and looks divine from esoteric fever dreams. Girl, this is like, this is a mouthful. She crashed into the scene like a bull in a china shop and hasn't had time to look back since. At 19, she became the youngest ever co-chair of Olympia Gay Pride and has ever since strived to make the world a better place for the queer community. She's become a staple in the West Hollywood party scene with residences and appearances at Mickey's, The Abbey, Hamburger Mary's, and many more. She's appeared on stage with Christina Aguilera, Jennifer Hudson, LaBouche, Bright Lights, and a slew of others that she can't remember because blackouts. She became a video hoe in countless music videos and made saucy drag appearances in movies and TV shows like AJ and the Queen, Bones, Glow, Dorothy, and We Are Your Friends, as well as casting and starring in cult drag favorite Cherry Pop. Recently, she's gone back to her music roots by with her party single, Psycho Pony and Party Rhino. Please welcome Allusia Alusia.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Welcome to wherever I am right now. It's so good to hopefully remember this tomorrow. I started already.
Yes, we have.
My lovely On the Rocks Tumblr. Cheers.
Yes. That we are well branded here.
I love this.
So, Allusia, I just have to ask you, you know how the gays are. The queens of WeHo. Lately, it seems that a lot of chatter has been about the decline or the fall of WeHo. People are not going out to the clubs, is what's being said. There's nobody at happy hour anymore. Happy hour used to be the thing to do. The younger generation is not going out. Our spaces are being taken over by females. That's what all the hub is.
Okay.
Hubbub. You are in the heart of it. Like, you are out almost hosting every kind of event, almost every single night of the week. What is your take on that? Are the gays just being mean, or is the culture of West Hollywood changing?
It's definitely changing. Well, I am one of the females that took over the scene in West Hollywood. You're welcome. It's definitely like, I feel like Gen Z, I'm going to blame the young kids, get off my lawn and into my bar.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't go out because rent's too expensive. If you're going to pay that much for rent, you're going to drink at home and enjoy that $3,000 one-bedroom apartment.
Well, entirely. And the older generation used to be the happy hour. So you would go to like Mickey's or Abbey, and that would be, the elders, so to speak. But now happy hour, it's like a $14 drink is happy hour.
True.
Where it used to be $5. So even the older generation who are living on Social Security cannot go out.
It's sad hour.
And I'll tell you, the last 3 times I went to the Abbey on a Sunday, 2 out of those 3 times, a woman drinking her Pinot Grigio like a stereotype leaned over and vomited all over the place.
You promised you wouldn't tell about that.
It was Sherry Vine. No, but
Mom, is that you?
But so I can see where we feel like our spaces are being invaded, but we fought for inclusion. We fought for equality. But, sometimes we want to watch gay porn at the gay bars.
It's true, and you can do that in your phone in a straight bar now if you want to.
Can you imagine that sensation?
I feel like things have progressed so much that we don't have to have like gay protection bubble.
Okay.
I feel like we've all just kind of dispersed into the world as equals, and so every place is safe, at least in LA. I don't know about elsewhere.
Well, and I've heard rumblings in other major cities that nightlife is just on the decline, and it's affecting go-go boys, it's affecting drag queens, it's affecting bartenders. We've seen how many West Hollywood trademark venues disappear.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've seen a lot of the old favorites kind of go out. I feel like people don't drink as much as they used to. I
wish that was true for me. I know, it's like, but that is true. People are finding solace and activities in other things.
Yeah, like Molly. And,
Coke's on the rise again.
Really?
I went to an 86-year-old birthday party. Literally, plates of Coke were being passed around like taquitos.
Wow, old school.
Yeah, and I was like, you go, girl.
Well, I feel like people, like, magic mushrooms are legal now, so people are kind of going a more natural path.
And it's cheaper,
fun.
too.
Yeah.
And no hangover.
I've seen sober bars are a thing now. People are launching, like,
I've seen
non-alcoholic
that.
bars, and I will not set foot in that.
So, the funny thing, I saw 60 Minutes on Japan, and sober bars are becoming the rage with all the young kids.
That's disgusting.
So the government has worked on a campaign to get people to drink. I'm not even kidding you, because
They
it's
should hire me.
affecting their import-export business,
Okay.
and there's literally posters.
This is not the future I fought for when I was a 19-year-old punk.
But also remember, before we would go out and we would meet somebody at the bar, we'd end up sloppily making out, or we'd arrange and we'd have a date or a hookup out of it. That doesn't happen anymore. I see people go to the clubs and they stay with their clique. They don't say shit to anybody. It's like, where's that fellowship? Where's that meeting, that excitement of meeting somebody new?
I think maybe the rise of social media and having everything accessible on your phone kind of takes you out of that in-person traveling, because you're doing it all through there, so you're not going to branch out where people are because your friends are delivered to your face. So I guess it does kind of negate some of the exploration.
But have you seen a decline, like, at your events? I mean, I know your events are very popular, so they're always packed, but have you seen a change in audience?
I find, like, all the people that used to come and hang out, they had kids, bought a house,
Oh my
moved
God.
away.
Oh my God, girl.
Like gay couples having kids on purpose.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
I don't know. It seems terrible. Children are awful.
They smell weird.
They're full of bacteria. They don't tip.
They can't make a cocktail worth shit.
But yeah, so like a lot of my venues now, it's a lot of tourists.
Yeah.
So I get families from the middle states.
Yep.
So I do a lot of family-friendly stuff now. Who'd have thought?
Well, I have a lot to say about that. Talk about not family friendly. Let's introduce our guest for today. And we are going to talk about it, because we're going to talk about like the progression of our humor and things like that. Sherry Vine, with over 30 years under her sequin belt, she's earned the title of drag legend. She tours the world with all of her live singing, hilarious comedy shows, and is the star and writer of the Sherry Vine variety show on Out TV, as well as she's living for this on Amazon. She's a founding member of the Theater Couture and is the OG YouTube queen, where her video parodies have been viewed over 20 million times, by the way. Her Grindr profile gets that attention as well. She produced and co-starred in Dr. Jackie, Unlicensed Psychotherapist, also on Out TV. She's played Blanche in The Golden Girls in LA and NYC, opened for Bianca Del Rio on her Dead Inside North American tour. And season 3 of the Sherry Vine variety show has dropped, with 6 all-new, hilarious, action-packed episodes featuring Alaska, Latrice Royale, Bianca Del Rio, Jackie Beat, Peppermint, Monet Exchange, Laganja Estranja, Nina West, Selena Estidis, Ben de la Creme, and not Alexander Rodriguez. That's interesting. Let's take a look at a little trailer for season 3 of the Sherry Vine variety show. Okay, so that was the trailer for the Sherry Vine variety
That's amazing.
That was the most entertaining thing I've
Wasn't
seen in
it?
my life.
Yes, it was. Wow, it was. I'm speechless.
I feel like my
Definitely
life-
Sherry's best work.
Yeah. Like, I've never been more entertained by something you haven't done.
Please welcome the Sherry Vine. We'll fix it in post. I'm sure Trump had something to do with it.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys are cracking me up.
I want to talk about, you were born in Florida. You were raised in Maryland. What kind of little boy were you? Were you like the little nerd? Were you the theater kid?
Oh,
Like,
I was the biggest sissy you could imagine. I was such a sissy and tortured. It was, yeah, pretty much.
but like, what
Your
school tribe were you in?
stereotypical bullied little sissy boy.
So were you like having lunch in the library? Were you part of like the chess club? Like,
Not
the
chess
club.
girl.
I was.
No, I mean,
Were you
I was
really?
part of the theater club
Okay.
since I was like 5. That's all I've ever did. That's all I've ever done. And I think I kind of found an escape in like, I lived in a fantasy dream world constantly. The teacher was coming by and like nudging me like, awake, where are you? I'm like, uh-huh. Because I just would tune out and live in a dream world because it was just nicer
and safe.
and safe.
Escapism is wonderful.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Escapism makes for a great drag queen.
Yeah.
Now, what were some of the early like TV shows, movies, theater that kind of inspired you to want to get like into entertainment?
Well, my mom tells this story that I was like 3 or 4 years old, sitting on the floor in front of the TV while they were back on the sofa watching the Carol Burnett show. I was allowed to stay and watch the Carol Burnett show. And I would point to the TV and be like, that's what I'm going to do.
And
like there was never a plan B.
and you have
love that.
the Sherry Vine Variety Show is the Carol Burnett Show.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's funny because on Amazon Fire TV, they have a channel now. It's the Carol Burnett Show. So I've been watching them because I used to watch the reruns all during summer.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about comedy. And they had drag, by the way.
Yes.
They had a lot of drag in that show.
Jim Bailey was on Carol Burnett's show, who did Judy Garland. I mean, yes, absolutely. And I have a funny story of getting to meet her, which was like the highlight of my life.
That is so lucky.
Oh my God. When I was living in New York City, Watch What Happens Live on Bravo with Andy Cohen. They sometimes have drag queens on, and they'll be like, oh, the guest this week is Drew Barrymore. So they'll have 3 drag queens dressed as different characters.
Love
that
it. Yep.
Like I was Little Edie. For Julianne Moore, I was Boogie Nights.
I love it.
And I had just done Ab Fab. I was Patsy, and Alexis Michelle was Edwina.
Oh, my
And
God.
they were mentioned, oh, next week, Carol Burnett's coming. I'm like, what? Yeah, Carol Burnett's coming. I'm like, I have to be on it. And they're like, well, you were just on. I'm like,
I don't
listen,
care.
I've done this like 4 or 5 times. It's for free, which is fine because it's fun. She is everything. She is the number one, the root of my inspiration. Please, I am begging you. And they said, calm down. Okay. And I
So
went
3
on
blowjobs later.
Yeah.
and I went on as Mrs. Huygens, and she was laughing and cutting up and hugging me. And after the show, we hung out. She was everything you would want her to be. And I was just like, and my parents even watched it, and they were just
Wow.
like, we know what this must mean to you.
Yeah, talk
must
about like a
have been
cycle
magical.
of life.
It was literally like, I'm good.
Forever.
Damn. I wouldn't even know like what to say. You know when you meet like an icon, you want to say everything, but then you also want to say stuff that they haven't heard. I mean, everybody said,
Right.
you know, you're so amazing or you've inspired me or whatever. Like, what do you say to Carol Burnett?
Yeah,
That's
I
different.
didn't want to be like, you inspired me, and her be like, please don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Like, do the Tarzan yell. Like, oh, God. You know, and she was great in Palm Royale, but I
she's
wish they would have used
great.
her more, though.
She's 90. I think season 2 now she's going to wake up and talk that she will.
Can you imagine getting Carol Burnett in your cast and then, like, here's your script, and she has, like, one highlighted line?
That's
nerve, the
guilty
nerve.
pleasure.
Yeah. She's like, I'll do it. I just don't want to talk or move. Got it.
Honestly,
got
that's
it.
the ideal gig.
Right?
You just not do things.
And she's in every episode, by the way.
Lie in bed and get paid.
Yeah.
Ideal. I mean, you could only do that on OnlyFans.
I was
these
just.
days.
Can you imagine Carol Burnett on OnlyFans?
Oh my God.
That's so hot. So you kind of knew that you were different from other boys, like early on.
Oh,
When did it become like a reality that you're like, okay, I'm queer?
well, I mean, I can look back now in retrospect. It was at the time it didn't register, but I remember being really little, playing with Matchbox cars in the front yard, and this guy who was dating the girl down the street rode a Harley, and he would like a leather vest with no shirt and tattoos, and I remember just being like mesmerized. So I can look back now, and that's kind of like my first like, oh, but I didn't at the time think I wasn't thinking about sex. I just thought something about I'm attracted to this.
Yeah.
And I still am. But it wasn't until like high school, like I was fooling around with all the boys, just kind of innocent, not kissing, just like, fooling around with the boys. You didn't do that?
Well, if it's not kissing, what are you doing?
Just innocent dick fondling.
Touching, yeah, dick fondling,
Yeah,
innocent dick
playing
fondling.
swords.
Ass tapping?
And then as we got a little bit
Cunnilingus on the
older,
butt.
as we got older and they had girlfriends and they were like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't want to do this anymore?
Betrayal.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, something's different.
Now, did you have to come out? Was it like, a big deal or?
It was not a big, I made it a much bigger deal. I think that I was tortured so much in high school because I kept saying, fighting against it. And this was also, there is an age, this was the 80s, and we just did not have the exposure on television that we have now. Anyone that was gay in movies or TV was like the victim and
Punchline.
sad and the punchline. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was fighting it. I mean, meanwhile, picture this. I'm in skin-tight Jordache jeans. I'm not kidding.
Oh, I'm picturing it.
Skin-tight Jordache jeans,
I can see it.
tucked into cowboy boots, with a perm. And then I'm like, why are they calling me faggot?
It's for go.
No, it was just
A perm and cowboy boots.
yes.
Bring that
girl.
look back, Sherry Vine. Season
I have
4.
it on my phone. And so it was just kind of like, I think if I had been able to just be like, yeah, I'm gay, that it would have taken the air out of their balloon.
It takes their power away.
Exactly. It would take the
Yeah.
power away. But I was so not going to. And then the first year of college, I was like, it was the first time that I had sex with a man as a man, and was like, that's for me. So I was living in LA the first time. I called my parents in Maryland, and we're on the phone, and my dad just said something like, well, so are you gay? And my mom starts laughing, and I'm like, yeah, I think so. And she's like, oh, honey, I've been waiting for this day since you were 3.
Oh, my
and so,
God.
and my dad, because this was the 80s, so all my dad said was, I only worry about your health.
Yeah.
That's all I care about,
Yeah.
period. And it was that easy. No tears, no crying, no religion, none of that crap.
That's beautiful.
I was very lucky.
My dad
Yeah.
just said, I know. I'm like, "Ooh, how could you tell?
You came out of the womb. It's like, it's a gay.
Like, stop birthing the kid. Oh. What do you mean, faggot?
Oh, Lord. Now, where did the Sherry Vine persona come from?
Well, I mean, it's another thing that I fought against. Before I ever did drag,
In your perm.
it was in between the perm and now. No, it was something that I fought against. Before I started doing Sherry Vine, performed a lot with Robbie Daniels, Joe Bear, and he's really talented. Has some other issues, but he is talented. We were really good friends, late '80s, and we used to perform together, and doing parodies and stuff. But way before I did Sherry Vine. And one day he said, I want to do a parody of The Price is Right, and you're going to be the spokesmodel. I'm like, okay. And this girl, Carrie French, who was a burlesque performer, this was like 1990, put me in drag, put me in her clothes, and it just kind of like struck a chord where I was like, oh. And I was like, I'm going to sing this song. I always wanted to sing this song, Black Coffee, but no one wants to see some skinny gay boy sing this song. So I'm going to do it as this character named Sherry. And it literally, someone saw it and said, oh, you got to come perform at my party. You need to come here, da-da-da-da. And I was like, no. I'm going to be a movie star. I'm not going to be a drag queen. And,
Don't we all say that?
yeah.
I'm going to move to LA and be a big star
Yeah.
in the bar.
And that's kind of how it started. And then it just, I moved to New York to do this play. And my friend was like, why are you fighting this? And I was like, okay, I'm going to embrace this and see what happens. And that was it, 34 years ago.
And how did you break into the 90s New York scene? I mean, you were front and center in that with Jackie Beat, Mario Diaz. How did you infiltrate
Yeah,
that?
I mean, it was actually before Jackie and Mario came. I was friends with Jackie from here. Jackie and I met in 1991 in West Hollywood. But when I moved in 92, I moved to New York City, and it was the height of Shaquita, Varla Jean Merman, Coco Peru, Hedda Lettuce, all these queens that are still performing.
Yep.
Sweetie, who passed away, and Mistress Formica. And it was just the right time because no one was really singing live in drag. And the Lady Bunny, of course, was always comedy, but it was a little bit like wackier. And I think that I was kind of on this wave of theater queens doing theater in drag.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what we focused on that made us a little different. And then, of course, I was doing bar and club stuff because it was better than waiting tables.
Now, was this along like the Charles Bush era?
Oh, well, he was already super successful and a major, icon for me. I mean, when he came to the first time I met him at one of my shows, I was just like, and he's like, carrying the torch, girl. And I was like, because I had a theater company, the Theater Couture in New York City with friends. And we had someone who wrote and someone who directed, and I was the leading lady. And that's kind of
That's
what
exactly
the focus
what
was.
he did. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Was it culture shock going to New York?
Yes, but in the best way. I just talked about this recently where there was this dichotomy of being the most exciting, crazy, anarchic, anything goes period of New York City where anything goes, with the most devastating, horrifying, tragic part. So these two merged in the early 90s in New York, and it was, I think, part of going out and getting crazy and having fun in spite of the terror that was going on is what kind of propelled us.
Greatness comes out of tragedy for sure.
Well, and we find out how strong we are as a community, even as thousands are dying, from this disease. How we still came out of that and survived that.
Yeah.
What do you want
Especially someone like me, Jackie, Coco Varla, talk about like gay men our age. It's like PTSD.
Yeah.
I was watching this, I can't remember what it's called, but it's British. It takes place in the 80s, AIDS in London, this series. I can't remember, and it was so good. But I remember texting Jackie, like, I could only watch 15 minutes tonight because it was just too much.
What do you want? Yeah. What do you want the younger generation to know most about that time? We have this generation that we have prep and we have doxy. It's like anything goes. They don't understand that kind of period of time. What would you want them to know most?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that there is an awareness of how it was, and maybe an appreciation for the people who were kind of like trailblazers and who like survived and stood up to, act up. And so I think there's that. That's there. I don't know what I would tell them. I mean, great that they can have fun.
Okay.
No, I mean, like, I was terrified. I didn't have sex at all in college out of fear.
I was just talking about this with some friends recently, how like the new generation gets to be so free, which is beautiful to see. And a lot of us aren't feeling free until now that we're in our like 40s and 50s. We get to kind of be like,
100%.
like we feel safe now.
Yeah. Yeah. And exploring our
And
sexuality.
I love that like Gen Z has never experienced the fear. It makes them, so
But do you think it makes them
fluffy.
appreciate sex less?
No, they seem pretty freaky.
But do they like appreciate like what it like how great it is to be able to share that?
I would never like, I don't think they can grasp the dichotomy, and I wouldn't want them to. Like, it's good that they never understand that.
I mean, I think it ties back into what you guys were talking about earlier about why maybe people aren't going to happy hour or going on. And it's a combination of all the, it's the internet. I mean, it changed everything.
Grindr, sniffies.
Order in, honey.
Yeah.
Why go out if you can order it? I mean, certainly in the 90s, you had to go out for entertainment, to socialize, to get laid. I mean, you had to leave your house.
How exhausting.
It was. But in New York City, you didn't have to go far.
Yeah.
And now you don't have to leave your house.
Literally. And
Literally,
Honestly,
order
is
in.
the dream.
And it tells you if your neighbor's ready to hook up too. Like
Yeah.
you don't even have to go outside your
Girl,
complex.
I just discovered Sniffies.
Oh my God.
Jess, where have you been?
that is
Sniffies
like
is where it's at.
It's the pinnacle of hookup culture. Like,
Yes.
back when I was like 19, there was Craigslist.
God, I miss Craigslist, though.
Craigslist and gay.com chat rooms.
Gay.com. Wow.
And it was always kind of a gamble.
Yeah.
You never really knew who they were, what it was.
Yep.
And it had the element of danger because that was when there was the chance of being murdered.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just kind of had to live with that.
Yep.
And now with Sniffies, you're like, oh, well, I don't know what their faces look like, but I can see all of your junk right there as your profile
You know exactly
picture.
where they are on the map. Like, literally, you
Yeah.
can see what building they're in,
You can-
what they want, and you're done in 30 minutes or less. It's like
haven't-
Domino's Pizza.
It's
I
order
haven't
takeout.
used it. I was actually performing.
I don't believe that for a minute,
No,
Sherry
I haven't.
Vine.
I was performing this weekend, literally on Saturday. I never heard of it, and I was doing a show with Megami. And she was like, "You don't know Sniffies?" I'm like, "What is it?" I said, "I'm not downloading any more fucking apps." And she's like, "Girl, it's not an app. You go da 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 da."
Yep.
And I was like, "Let me see." And she showed me on her phone. I was like, "Oh, I'm going to look at this." And I went back to my hotel room, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." And I didn't like chat or, I didn't join or anything. I was just like, "I want to look at some wieners."
It's kind of fun to window shop.
Totally.
Because you can
100%.
see all of your friends' dicks and all
Yep.
of your neighbors' dicks and just be like, oh, that's cool.
And you
that's
could-
cool.
You can also
Oh,
see,
that's
like,
my straight neighbor. What's
Right.
he doing on
Yes.
here? Oh, God.
I work with your wife, sir.
and you can see where, like, the glory holes are. You can see where the cruising is happening.
So
you know,
I don't need to participate, but it makes me so happy to know that it's there.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love
it better than Grindr.
accessibility. Like, how joyous.
Yes. And, like, it's fast and easy. Like, you
Yeah.
don't spend all, like, Grindr now has become so laborious. You're on it forever, and then they end up not, like, final. It's like,
if
why did
I'm-
we talk all day?
If I'm going to use a hookup app, I don't want to have a conversation. I'm not here to
100%.
date.
I was like,
This-
we have friends.
right, it's Grindr, not Airbnb. You're not staying over.
I say that all the time. People like, say, "Oh, Lord, he looks dumb." I'm like, I don't want to talk to
Yes,
him.
yeah.
I
I've
hope he
got
can't
you to
sing-
talk to,
Yeah.
bitch.
Yeah, like my friend slots are full. Fill my other slots.
Hello.
And put your shoes on faster. I hate
Right.
after they're like, so
Your
what do
car-
you do? Oh,
your car
no,
is waiting.
yeah. Oh, Lord. So, Sherry Vine, being in the business, being Sherry for more than 30 years, do you ever feel overshadowed as Keith by Sherry Vine? Because we know Sherry Vine, we expect Sherry Vine every time we see Sherry Vine.
No, never.
Never.
Did you ever go through like a struggle of who you were between the two?
No. I
Okay.
mean, honestly, there was one brief moment where I was like, oh, well, maybe I want to do hormones. Only because I was hanging out with I was roommates with Candace Kane and hanging out with Candace and Lena.
bet there's
And I
stories
was just
there.
like, oh, girl.
There's a
I was like,
sitcom
oh,
there.
Oh yeah.
I want to do hormones. And then I was like, thought about it. I was like, I'm not trans. But no, I love being out of drag and my life as Keith, but I don't need the spotlight as Keith. And that's very true. Like, I'm not just saying that. And I'm very happy being observing and witnessing as Keith. And as Sherry, then, of course, I want the spotlight.
So
But I
do you-
get fulfilled enough as Sherry that I don't require that as Keith.
Does it make going out as your Keith self easier? Because
A little bit. I haven't been on Drag Race, and so people don't, immediately recognize
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean?
you
And that's
You
fine.
can go amongst the commoners.
Oh, well, honey, I do.
On Sniffies. What's the most un-Sherry Vine thing that you do in life?
God, I'm such a nerd. I work out really. I box.
You box?
Yeah, no hitting in the face. But I
Obviously.
go to boxing every day.
With
Oh my
these
God.
claws?
Uh-huh.
Wow. I would never have picked you as a boxer.
Oh, yeah.
I-
I
Boxer
love-
briefs, maybe, but
I
not a
would pay
boxer.
human money to watch you box someone.
Yeah.
I love boxing.
A big fight between Jackie Beat and Sherry Vine.
Oh
I
my
would pay
God.
for
honey,
that
I
show.
would lay her out. No, I'm like, let me stress, it's not in a ring hitting each other. There's no hitting in the face at all.
Yeah.
But it's like training, and you learn the choreography and the moves, and someone could yell 1 1 2 2 2 whatever, and I can do it. So I love the exercise
Okay.
and the
But you
kind
don't,
of
like, spar?
choreography.
Do you spar with people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, with mitts. Yeah. And I love that. And I'm a huge Marvel geek.
I just found that out. I cannot get into Marvel. I can get into Star Wars and Star Trek till the cows come home, but Marvel, I just cannot.
Anything fantasy I love. I if it's got a vampire, a witch, or a dragon, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I think that's because I can't.
Aren't you all three?
I am honey.
It's like
all
Halloween. It's
three.
like, damn, how am I going to limit it?
I have a hard time with. I don't want to watch. I can't watch like the Saw. These torture
gory,
because
yeah.
they're so real that it's like that is happening somewhere right now. Whereas if it's a dragon, I'm like, it's not, and I can handle it. I went to see Blink twice last night, and I think it's a great film, but it was very difficult to watch.
It was gory?
No, it's just a lot of sexual violence.
Ooh,
There's
oh,
even a
no.
warning.
That's an off for me.
There's a warning in the beginning, trigger warning, and it's
Wow.
directed by Zoe Kravitz.
It's her directorial debut.
And it's a great film, and I could see where it's coming from, and it's great that a woman helmed this, but it was hard to watch, and it should be, but that's what I mean. Like, I would choose to watch Deadpool and Wolverine over that.
Yeah, I like a creature feature. I don't like human on human violence.
Yeah. And we're in a great horror season, by the way. We have Apartment 7A coming out.
Horror season?
Well,
Season of the horror.
yeah, horror. But
What's-
Apartment 7A is coming
that?
out. So it's the prequel to Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, yes, I saw the
Did
trailer.
you see
and
the
I was
trailer?
Like, Isn't
No, I
this
haven't
Rosemary's
seen the trailer.
Baby?
And Diane Wiest plays the crazy neighbor, and she nails it.
Yeah, she plays Ruth Gordon.
Yeah. So it's the prequel to Rosemary's Baby, which I love. Rosemary's Baby is one of my favorite because it's a psychological thriller.
Love.
So we have that. Salem's Lot is coming out. Stephen
Oh.
King's new movie.
Oh, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. So
I hope they don't miss
doing
with
well.
stuff as they usually do.
Well,
The first time,
Yeah.
honey, Lance Kerwin and David Soul. That's
okay.
how old I am.
All right, so this next little chunk, I'm just going to call it Drag Race because we did get a lot of fan questions and they kind of centered around Drag Race, which, we have to talk about because we just do.
There's more to life than Drag Race.
And this is what we're going to talk about. Because everybody just assumes as drag queen that's on your bucket list. And I'm sure everybody's auditioned at one point or another, but some people really think that they cannot exist or have a career outside of Drag Race, and that's too bad.
Crazy. Drag is so much more than that.
And plus, half the people can't afford to be on Drag Race anymore. When did it become that you have to be rich to be on the show?
Especially
Right,
All
it's-
Stars.
Yeah.
And now it's America's Next Top Model or fashion designer.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, where's
And they're paying stylists to make their outfits.
where's the theater?
Yeah. And then you ask them to do a comedy competition, and they fail. We haven't had a good snatch game in a really long
A
time.
long time. I
yeah.
have to say, this last season was, I thought, the best in years. Like, I actually enjoyed this last season because I thought, oh, there's a handful that are super talented. And the couple of seasons before that, there were a lot of queens who had never even performed before a live audience before.
Yep.
It's fine. It's a reality show, honey. It's not a talent show. But this last season I enjoyed. And so, because Drag Race comes up with every single thing I ever interview ever done. And I like to be very clear, and I'm not kissing anyone's ass because I wouldn't gain anything from it. If Drag Race was 20 years ago, I would have crawled through glass to get on that show. So let me be very clear about that. Who doesn't want to make that kind of money
Yeah. Right.
and be world famous? I mean, any queen who's kind of starting out and they're 22 is like, oh, I don't want. I'm like, girl, what's wrong with you?
Imagine being launched into the stratosphere
Yes.
with no back-breaking work to get there.
Exactly.
Like back when you started and when I started, there was no internet.
Yeah.
No, Jackie and I talk about this all the
Yeah.
time. Jackie and I say all this when we started. No one in their right mind thought, I'm going to do drag so I could be rich and famous.
Right.
No one.
Nope.
It was a fringe thing. It was not considered a legitimate art form. You had to work 8 shows a week
To get drink tickets?
to pay rent.
And
Yeah.
you would hang flyers on telephone poles.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Beg your friends to
Yeah.
come.
So you had to have a passion and a calling for it. Period.
Yeah.
And now
You
you,
did it
don't.
because you had to.
Yeah.
Like it's in your soul.
Yes.
Yes.
And even some of the queens that win the title, they don't know how to handle themselves professionally, and they don't know how to be that drag queen star, and so they disappear. And you're like,
Right.
well, what happened to so and
Well,
so?
I mean, not even saying names because I'm not going to, but there are so many super amazing, talented queens that have come off that show. But I think now that there's 300 of them, you can see kind of who rises above, who are like, that's a real artist
Yes.
who has a calling for drag and a love for drag, and that's someone who wanted to be on TV.
So the question we got in many different ways is: you've been on TV, on stage. Why haven't you been on Drag Race?
Well, I mean, just for that reason, I think that we're too old. And if it was 20 years ago, I would have done anything to get on it. If
No,
they
no,
did it.
not as a contestant, as like a judge or as
I haven't asked.
See, to me that
Seems
is
like an
so
oversight to
strange,
me.
and especially like you were running around the same like RuPaul circle, but like all of the trailblazing queens, like
Yeah.
Coco Peru, like Lady Bunny, like yourself, like Jackie Beat, wouldn't that make sense to be the panel of judges
I think so.
or guest judge
I mean,
or a
think so.
consultant or something?
Maybe it's just, I don't know, stepping on toes, maybe?
But I mean, this is the world that RuPaul came from.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you
It
not
was
have any
like-
appreciation for the world that built you?
I don't think it only comes down to her. I really don't. I know that there was talk years ago about doing like a Golden Girls, a season of the season queen. Like that could be
love
me,
that.
Jackie, Varla, Coco, like older.
See, I'd love
established
that
queens.
idea.
And the network, whether this is true or not, was like, no, we got to keep it young. And it is geared really young. I mean, they were talking of that Sasha was old.
Oh,
She
God.
was 38 or 39.
They kept mentioning her age.
Have I aged out?
Girl, we're aged out. So if
You're a
they-
MILF now in
Oh,
drag.
God.
If they did like a Golden Girls season, I know for a fact that we would all go on it, but that's not the reality of that show right now. I mean, and if now also like what would I do? I mean, I write parodies about poop and penis. That's
Which
what
is
I
high
do.
art to me.
Thank you. So I mean, what would I do?
So another question was, if you were to compete today, how far would you get in the show, do you think?
Girl, if I do a death drop, call 911 because they ain't on purpose.
I think that they should ban death drops because that's everybody's easy go-to.
Oh.
When the lip sync's not going well, death drop, and the judges act like they've never seen one before,
people
and
are
it happens
crazy.
every episode. Like, it's like
not just
they
the judges. I
fell.
go to shows in a bar, and it's just like,
It's-
is that all? Like,
Yeah.
they don't even know one word to the lip sync, and
Yeah.
then they do a death drop,
and then
the
everybody loses
crowd
their
goes
shit.
Crazy. and it's
That's
like,
such a
It's-
cheap trick.
It turns into a tumbling competition instead
Yes,
of
thank
art.
you. Thank you.
Like, I've never death dropped once in my career. I've dropped dead a few times. but
But you don't have to because you command
Yes.
the audience.
I can stand there
with
and
your
emote.
humor. Yes, yes, yes.
So it's a double-edged sword. I would love to make that kind of money and have that, and I wish they would do an old lady season because then I'd be like, girl, if I could get that, TV exposure and just get through 10 more years to retire, then it would
just
be
to get to retirement
gorgeous.
age. I would fund this to have like wires put up to you so you can fake a death drop, but live.
Sherry, fix a death drop at
I've been
midnight.
trying to learn how to do a dip, which is very different. But it's the same thing, but it's slower.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I might be able to do that. I can't. I'm not going to throw myself on the ground. Girl, 'cause you ain't
No,
gonna get back
no,
up.
no, no, no.
But I would like to learn how to do a dip. I'm obsessed with Laomi. Do you know? Did you watch
don't.
Legendary on HBO? It was the guy with the voguing ball.
No, yes. but
Girl,
I work with
Laomi.
Calypso from that show all the time.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen that kind of amazing movement.
That's a dip.
While we're talking about Legendary, HBO Max canceled We're Here. The last season was the last season.
damn.
They didn't even do like a finale season. We know it won 2 Emmy Awards. It recently got nominated for 4 Emmy Awards. It won a GLAAD Award. It won a Peabody Award. Canceled. They also took off all of the episodes of Legendary from the streaming service.
I did hear that.
Why?
They just said it ran its course and that they're very proud that it was part of the programming, and that's that.
Well, it's 2024. It's not time to tuck things away like that again.
100%.
I watched it twice. I was obsessed with Legendary.
And it's part of our culture. It's part of gay culture. It's part of black culture. It's culture.
And it's fucking entertaining.
Yeah, 100%.
good. It's so
And
good.
for that kid who's watching Max in Kansas, seeing representation, it's so important.
And
Yeah, that's so
representation
weird.
matters.
Yes.
Like,
So weird.
Seeing yourself as not the punchline.
Yeah.
Can
And it's like,
inspire
oh,
you to do
you
so
got your
much.
awards, so you're going to take your awards and go home? Like,
That's weird.
Rude.
Rude.
Sherry Vine, if you were a producer on Drag Race, what challenges or what challenge would you add to challenge the queens?
I always wanted to see a parody writing.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a song, write a parody. It doesn't have to be dirty, but just write
That's
something
drag.
funny.
You know what would be a great competition is if they had, like, the 4 last queens, had them write a Golden Girls parody, and then you guys have to go in and act what they've written. Wouldn't that be great? They have to direct it. They have to do
I
everything.
Here's a challenge I want to see on Drag Race. Write a show and make it run for 6 months.
Right? Yeah. Or pay rent by doing bingo.
Or entertain us for 3 minutes without moving.
Yes.
Ooh. Gauntlet thrown.
Some of the cringiest competitions are when they have to roast or when they have to do their stand-up or their talent show.
See, if you can't roast as a drag queen, then I don't think you're a drag queen.
And roasting isn't just, like, the low-hanging fruit insults. Like, roasting is an art.
You have to be clever.
Yes.
And I feel like clever should be part of drag.
Thank you. Anyway, moving on to Clever. You have a long-standing working and friendship relationship with Jackie Beat. She's this big brassy personality. You've got this big sassy personality. How do you two click so well? What is the key to your long-lasting friendship?
I hate her.
But there's, like, no jealousy. There's, like, you guys are really supportive of each other. In fact, they're performing on a Friday in Palm Springs, by the way.
Jackie and I do a lot together. I mean, the New York Times called us the Laurel and Hardy of drag.
Oh my God.
And there's just something when we first met, and it was instantaneous, where we were like, we need to do something together. And that was 33 years ago, and we're still working together. I mean, she's one of the few people where I know exactly where she's going. Like, we could be on stage with zero preparation or plan, and she starts, and I'm like, got it. I know where we're going.
Oh, that's magic.
That is
Yeah.
magic, and
And
that
it's
rarely
great.
happens.
And at the same, what I appreciate is, because we just had this argument the other day where we were screaming at the top of our lungs at each other,
What was
and
the fight
then it
about?
was just like, where are we going to go to lunch? I don't know.
What was the fight about? Now I have to know.
That's friendship when you can say F you.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
Because you
for
know
dinner.
it's going to be fun.
Exactly. I don't ever have to walk on eggshells around Jackie. And there's the same with me. Well, she's not going to walk on eggshells around anybody, but I don't walk on eggshells around her. And that's, we get along that way. And work-wise, she is, in my opinion, the funniest, fastest, wittiest, smartest drag queen out there.
Rocket powered wit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just nice to see a working relationship where jealousy is not an issue. We know, and I think the younger generation has yet to learn this. Just because somebody else succeeds doesn't take away from your success.
I feel like another part of drag should be sisterhood, lifting each other up.
Yes.
Like,
Some of these bitches are getting on social
She's-
media fights. It's like, why?
I
She's
prefer
so
to-
supportive. She can be very self-centered, but at the end of the day, she's very giving and very gracious and very supportive. So yeah, if I get something like Station 19 or whatever, she's the first one to post about it.
That's great.
that's
say-
beautiful.
Yeah. Your parody songs are legendary, as we know, millions and millions and millions of views. Your shows sell out all the time, all around the nation.
Well, usually.
You push the envelope. You've been inappropriate. What is one of your songs that even you thought, ooh, is this too far? Should I really do this? What's one song that just sticks in your mind? Like, I can't believe I
Well,
actually.
there's two. There's the dirtiest one I've ever done is a parody of Britney's "Toxic." We can say anything on this.
Yeah,
right?
go
Okay.
ahead.
It's called "Your Cock Stinks," and, and it's
Baby,
filthy,
baby.
but I set it up where, like, I don't know if you guys can handle this. Maybe I should not do this, and it's just a setup because, of course, the audience
Yeah,
is like,
like,
"Do
you know what?"
it!"
Yeah.
And then I do it, and they were like, "Eh!" I'm like, "You asked for it, so here it is." But then I think "Hallelujah," my parody of "Hallelujah," which you've heard how I blew ya, was the one that I started writing, and I was like, oh my God, I can't do that to this song. This song is revered around the world. And I was like, I can do it. But it's funny you mentioned that because I'm performing tomorrow night for this Alexis Arquette Foundation. And me, Jackie, and Candace are performing.
Oh, that's great.
And the family's going to be there, and it's a big thing. And I was like, I texted Jackie, did they say anything about what we can and can't do? And she's like, well, they said it could be suggestive, but not dirty. And I'm like,
Where do you draw that
did they
line?
meet
Meet
Alexis
Alexis?
Arquette? We're talking about Alexis, right? Because every story that I have of Alexis, who I was friends with for 30 years, involves ending up in a parking lot somewhere looking for dick. So
She would have loved Sniffies.
Honey, girl, she would have loved to. So I'm like, I can't sing a song about sucking dick about Alexis. So anyway, yeah, can't.
Should we, as the gays, be more careful with our humor in order to build bridges with the conservative side?
Fuck
that.
No. Thank you. Fuck no. No. Honey, all these queens reading to kids and all, gorgeous. No, I'm not even kidding. Good for you. Zero interest. Fuck no. And I have been asked, and I'm like, have you seen my YouTube videos? No. They're like, well, you don't have to do that. I'm like, all it would take is one parent to research me and lose their mind. I'm not interested. My show is not for kids, period. And fuck the conservatives. All it does is make me want to be. Coming out of the pandemic and Trump, I was like, my next show is going to be relentless filth.
I love that.
It's funny because I mentioned my last few times at the Abbey where women have vomited. It's been, excuse me, for the drag show, and there's been kids in the audience, and so the queens have been like, oh, there's a kid in the audience, so I can't say this and I can't say that. And I'm like, but it's a drag brunch, and it's our drag brunch.
Well,
I do it.
I
I've
will
done-
definitely. Well, I tone it down if there's a kid in the audience.
But that's
Like, I
not
know you
fair
have
to
a-
the whole gay community that's gone to
because
support.
I've done the Abbey brunch several times, and there have been times where there's kids, and I will go up to the table before the show and say, my show is an adult show, and it's sexual about penis. So if there's a problem with that, just know when you see me coming on stage, that's what's happening. I am not changing my show.
I like that. I mean,
And
if you
9 times out of 10, they're like, they watch Euphoria, they're fine.
Oh my God.
but like you and I did Santa Monica Pride, and that's
yeah.
different because it was out in the public
That's
open. It was
different.
out in the mall, so I
That's
understand
different.
that. But like in our own venues, I just
No, that is different for sure. I performed in Boston Pride once, and it was outside. I had a microphone in my hand and one foot on the first stair, getting ready to go on. And they're like, "Oh, you can't cuss." And I'm like, "Why are you telling me this now?"
You've already got a set.
yeah.
I know.
And I'm
they're-
Sherry
They're
Vine.
ready to hit play. So I'm singing, and in my head, I'm translating.
Oh, my
okay,
God,
I'm going
no
to say
way.
penis
On the
instead
fly.
of dick. I'm going to say poop instead of shit. It was ridiculous.
That is just. Did they not research you before?
Girl, hello.
That is absurd.
It's kind of absurd.
All right, this is another hot topic we got sent in. Should drag queens use their platform for politics?
Girl, you just opened a can of worms. I have been on a rage about this.
So
Here's my thing.
yes,
Sorry, if I may.
Please do.
Yeah.
Don't call my Instagram page a platform. It is not a platform. I am not an elected official. I'm not a politician. Sherry Vine is not a real person. My Instagram is my drag page where I promote shows and stuff that I'm doing, and it's for fun and to make people happy. And yes, I am very political, and I might post something about, yay, Kamala, but it's not a platform.
I'm going to politely disagree with you because
Fine.
social media influences a lot of our younger generation. And so even if it is you promoting a show, it's somewhere where people are getting their information, they're getting representation, they're seeing themselves in you. And I think it's a very important but a dangerous tool.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just again, I can only speak for myself because there are a lot of queens who call it a platform and treat it as a platform, and that great. I don't.
To each their own.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, I don't have an Instagram page as Keith where it might be devoted to politics and what's going on in the world, and it doesn't mean that I don't care and that I'm not aware of it. The first thing I do in the morning is read the newspaper for an hour. I know what's going on all over the world.
How
And
exhausting.
yeah.
How depressing.
And I have an opinion and a stance about everything that's going on in the world, but it does not belong in my show. And I don't treat my show or my social media as a platform.
This is a very hot topic because people are saying now is the time to use whatever voice you have. And I see both sides of it.
Well, you're allowed
Honey,
to
I
be...
sing about poop and dick.
You're allowed to use what you built for your entertainment purpose. If that is what you do,
But some
then
people are
you-
saying...
then you are allowed to continue just being an entertainer in that facet. And the other things can be saved for other segments of your life. It doesn't have to overlap.
But some people are saying it's your responsibility, not like should you use it. But some people are saying you haven't said anything about this election. Why not?
Because we're entertainers. And if you don't choose to do that, like, being an entertainer doesn't mean you have to... You're not responsible for people's thoughts and views.
This is the hot topic because we are at a crucial moment right now.
I don't get. Look, I look at like Dayla's page and everything, and she's very active, and I love that, and I appreciate it, and that's great for her. That's just not what I'm going to do with Sherry Vine, who's not a real person, Instagram page. And in my show, I did a show a couple months ago where this girl came up to me afterwards, and she's like, "I can't believe you didn't talk about Gaza." And I'm like, I'm
Oh my
singing
God.
about poop and penis. My show could not be more moronic. Like, where would I have talked about Gaza? And that's not what I do. And like I said, I can't stress how important these things are to me as a person, but it's not what I'm going to do in my show. My show, from my perspective, whether you think I'm wrong or right, my job is to make you, for 1 hour, laugh. That's my job.
Escapism.
And then after that, we can all go back to CNN or whatever we watch. And believe me, this comes up a lot, especially recently. And I adamantly do not consider my Instagram page a platform. And I get what you're saying. I get it. That can reach a lot of people. And I will, like I said, post things from time to time that are like, okay, yes, Kamala. And so, but
Well,
that's just how I feel.
It's funny because
his own.
a trailblazer drag queen has caused a sensation. Lady Bunny has been making a lot of comments against Biden, against Kamala. We know how she feels, but now people are calling her out on it. People have stopped following her. People don't want to book her right now because they think that she is against the gay movement because she's not for Kamala. And she doesn't apologize for it at all. In fact, she goes harder. And now it's affecting her. So it has become a hot
That's
topic.
not why I don't do it. But yeah,
I think sometimes being someone that's focused on just bringing some joy and entertainment to the world is needed.
100%. And, you know, like you said, like your love of Marvel, it's that, like you said, escapism. And it's that, it's like,
and
I don't have
I
to
will
think.
perform.
Yeah.
I have performed for many, hundreds and hundreds of
Years.
issues, hundreds of years.
No, 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 no.
Hundreds of years. No, I performed. I did lots of benefits for Get Out the Vote. I have a Harris yard sign in my front yard. So, I mean, I can be politically active. It's just not Sherry Vine. I don't know how other way to explain it.
Makes sense.
All right, let's talk about the Sherry Vine Variety Show. Now in season 3, as one of your fans emailed and put it, it's like Saturday Night Live on crack.
Yes! Oh my God, that's
God, I love crack.
Thank you. I love crack.
Crack is whack, unless it's for free. You write the scripts with Jackie B, John Mark, and Thomas Brannigan. I can't even imagine, what is the creative process? Do you guys just break open a bottle of wine and just start scribbling ideas? Is it formalized? Like, what is the creative process?
Well, I have a folder on my computer of like called ideas, and it's just like hundreds. And every season I'll go through, and some I'll be like, no, no, no. And then the next season I'll be like, oh, you know what? Maybe it's time for this one, or I get an idea. I will kind of sequester myself and I do the bulk of the writing. And then, like Lady Cops, I'll write all the scenarios and this kind of the outline, and I'll write a lot of the dialogue, and I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And what I'm not great at is joke writing. That's Jackie's forte. So then Jackie and I will get together, and she'll punch it up, and we'll go through it, and she will kind of sprinkle in the jokes. And I think my strength is kind of being like, girl, this has to be 3 minutes, beginning, middle, and 3 minutes, where she will just tend to kind of go rant. I'm like, girl, this is a 20-page script for a 3-minute sketch. So that's kind of how we work well together.
I love that because you kind of figure out like what you need, and this is why you guys work so well together. Now, with the guest stars that you have, I can't even imagine what a day of filming is like because you could have all these big personalities. You're doing comedy. How can you get through a day? Is it a crazy circus like I think it is, or is it?
It's nothing but fun. I mean, I think the reason why people like Monet and Bianca, who's been in all 3 seasons, and Monet has come back, and Alaska has done all 3 seasons, is because it's fun. They're not doing it for the money.
Yeah.
So
That's art.
Or craft services. Here's your cheese stick, and you'll like it.
Drag it
I-
as art.
I texted Alaska and I was like, "Oh my God, I know that you did the first 2 seasons, but there's this part." She's like, "Anything you want, Diva." And so
That was a pretty good impression,
That was
by the way.
nailed-
That was
nailed it.
spot on.
and Bianca too. Bianca, season 2, she had just finished her world tour. She had literally been away for a year. She was coming home. She had 3 days before she was having foot surgery. And I said, "Girl, you're off the hook. Just go home, get prepared." She's like, "Fuck you, bitch. Where am I going?" And she
I'd love
came
to hear
into
that.
LA. And so it's just fun. I mean, we don't really have a lot of time. You know, we have to shoot 6 episodes in essentially 6 days.
Oh
That's
my God.
insane.
It's intense. And so there's not a lot of time to sit around.
Fool
There's
around,
not
yeah.
a lot of sitting around. It's like we're there to work. I keep, I tell these queens, I'm like, Laganja, I'm like, "Girl, you'll be here for 2 hours." She's like, "What? No." I'm
That's
like,
lightning
2
fast
hours
filming.
Yeah.
in and out.
It takes
And,
that long to get the lighting right.
So we are laughing our butts off.
What I like about it is it's so different out there. We have so much LGBT content now. It is so different. It is a throwback to the old days, but it also is very smart. And the fact that your guest cast is so varied and full of veterans and new veterans, like Bianca Del Rio, I think is like a new veteran, And there's so many different types of drag in it, and it's such a fun show.
And I love working with people that it doesn't have to be someone from Drag Race at all. I mean, essentially, I've only worked with people that I'm friends with, just because I wouldn't feel comfortable asking someone that I don't know really well, "Can you come in for $1?" To do
That makes
this.
sense.
And so it's mostly friends, and like I said, then we just laugh and cut up. Joe Lopez, who
Oh,
I
God, I love
love,
Joe Lopez.
she's amazing. She was not on Drag Race, but she's one of my favorite performers, and we
And
just
great theater.
a great theater, and this like the nicest, funniest person to hang out with. And she's in the Kill Bill episode, and Laganja, who I just kind of peripherally knew and now love.
Such a
And
sweetheart.
Selena S. Titties I knew before she was on Drag Race, so it's like I really wanted her to be in it. And there was only one non-drag part this whole season, and I was like, I really got to get Johnny McGovern in here.
Yeah, I noticed he was in
Yes,
it.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed he was in it. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I don't want any Latinos.
Well, look, Mario Diaz, who's one of my best friends, who was always our man. He was like, "There's no part for me this season." I'm like, "I'm sorry, there's one guy part." And I asked Johnny.
That is so funny, yeah. Next season, do a horror thing, and I want to be killed.
I can
Okay.
kill you right now.
Yeah, I know.
It's so easy.
Girl, your breath could kill me right now.
Oh,
You love the
Roast.
smell of vodka.
I know I do. I was like, give me more, give me more. If I ever had a cologne, it would just be
Be vodka
It'd
in
just
a
be
bottle.
vodka.
Sherry
It's
vodka.
You'd be drinking it.
Sherry vodka. Oh, sherry vodka. Season 4 sponsors. This was a fun fan question we got. If there was going to be a biopic of your life, what would the movie be called, and who would play you as younger?
I'd prefer to see a biopsy of your life.
what would it be about?
No. What would the title be, and then who would play you as younger
Title would
Sherry
be
vodka?
Little Votive Nights, because that's gonna be the title of my memoir if I ever write one.
Little Votive Nights?
Yes, it's because when I hook up with straight guys in drag, I turn all the lights off and just have one little votive candles. I'm over here. So that's the title, and I guess the only person I think who could play me is Charlize Theron, right?
Yes, but I mean, like younger. Is there like a young?
She's a lot younger, actually. No,
Isn't
she's
she
not
your
like-
age?
She's younger.
She's
She
not
has a
that
better work
much
done.
younger.
Honey, I
Yeah.
just turned 60.
Oh,
Oh.
And Charlize is
she's like
48.
45 or
Oh,
something. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's closer to my age.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Honey, don't tell people your age. But
60.
is there like a young drag queen that you see yourself in a lot? You're like, oh,
Other
Well-
than your hookups.
yeah.
Other than Alaska, I mean, this is what other people say
Oh,
a
I can
lot
see that.
they kind of see.
Yeah,
And
I can see
I
that.
mean, we have talked about doing a mother-daughter act.
Yeah.
So one day, I would definitely want to do a mother-daughter act with Alaska.
Why didn't she write you a part in Drag, the musical, with Joey McIntyre? Alaska.
She asked me to be a guest, but I was out of town. I'm going to see it in New York. I'm actually in New York at the
It's
end
so
of
fun.
October. I've seen it twice,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
love
When it was here at the Bourbon Room, it was amazing. We had Joey McIntyre in
Oh, really?
studio, by the way.
Okay. It's
Got a little flirty.
It's so good. I'm very proud of her. It's really
She's a good writer.
She works so hard.
She does work hard. Okay, we got also questions about you touring with Bianca Del Rio. We imagine it's some like crazy city to city. She's such a big personality. She's naughty. You're naughty. You open for her. What was it like behind the scenes? Were there any shenanigans?
Girl. Yes.
Did you guys have a three-way?
No.
With Wendy
Did
Ho.
she? Did you give? Did you give her own votive candle?
No, she's definitely not like that. She's not. First of all, we've been friends for 20 years. Second of all,
Have you really that long?
oh yeah, the day she moved to New York, I met her after
Wow.
Katrina.
What did you
It
think?
was 19 years ago. Next year will be 20 years.
What did you think when you first met her?
I thought she really needed help. No, we
Like
just,
a little heavy on the eye makeup.
we hit it off and we did so much together. And first of all, no one works harder. Period. That bitch, I've seen her like on a tour bus, like hot gluing stones and sewing. I'm like, can you rest? And she's like, this is my resting. No one works harder, and she's so not a diva. Like, if there's a suitcase that needs to move, she just fucking goes and moves it. It's not like she's thinking someone else's job.
That's a professional.
Yep.
She will go into a theater that she was in 2 years ago and know whether she has to ask someone or not. I'm just saying she will find out what's the lighting person's name, and she will go up to it.
That is
that's
so
just-
important. I cannot stress
Yes,
that enough.
Of course it is. So anyway, and then we're laughing our fucking asses off. I mean, the meet and greet, I'm just saying the most horrible things to the people waiting. Like, I'm like, they have her book. I'm like, ask for a refund. And they'll go up and she's like, can I get a refund? And she'll look at me like, you got it.
That's fun. That's
We
really,
have
really
so
fun.
much fun. And then on the bus, we're just, after the show, just laughing. She's kind of the real deal.
But there's no shenanigans like drunken nights or
Girl,
truck
yes,
stop.
of course there
hookups.
are. Please. There were nights we were in Dublin. I think I was telling you before we started. We were in Dublin and we loved the George, which is where they have the drag show, and we're really good friends with the Queens. And then we had one night off. And she's like, maybe we should go and see the show. It's Wednesday night. That's the big drag night. I'm like,
On your one
okay,
night
well,
off, you're going to see a drag
We
show?
can't go crazy because she loves drag. I love drag. I will always go to a local drag show.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah.
Fuck
If
yeah.
you have a
Do you?
chance,
Oh, yes.
every time I travel,
But that's like
I'm-
your job. Don't you want like a day off?
No, I
if you
want
love drag,
Yep.
and if you're a long working professional, you have to love drag.
I love drag, and Bianca loves drag. So we're like, all right, let's go. We're going to have one drink. One drink.
One drink.
Girl, fast forward to we're doing shots, we're dancing.
that.
And I'm like, girl, it is like 3 a.m. And she's like, oh, shit, maybe we should go. So, yeah.
And you had a show the next day?
Uh-huh. That doesn't happen a lot, but she likes a drink, and I like a drink. So after the show, we are on the bus, and we're having a drink.
Word.
You mentioned hooking up with guys in drag. Do you do that often?
Doesn't that mess up your hair?
Do you have
Girl,
hookup
I
wigs?
Yes, I got my DSW, my dick sucking wig.
It's like
I
all
got my
crusty,
show-
like you could snap
I
it in
got my
half.
show.
Oh no, Alexander.
No, I'm not kidding. You're going to think this is
Do you really?
And this is the truth. This is not. This is my dick platform. I got this show hair, and then I've got one that's been retired. That is my dick sucking wig that I keep in the bedroom. So when a guy comes over, I'm like, "Oh, you go to. I'm going to be. Just give me 2 minutes to freshen up." And I take this wig off and I put on the DSW.
You really can do anything, can't you?
Yes, ma'am.
I hooked up one time in drag, and he asked me to turn the lights off. I guess my lips were up on my eyebrows were down my lips. It was confusing.
It's funny because
I
some
like
drag
hooking
queens
up
will
in drag.
refuse to hook up in drag.
A lot of them hate it, and because, well, look,
They don't make a setting spray strong enough.
the what?
They don't make a setting spray strong enough.
But straight
mean-
men love guys in drag.
They do.
It's
A
this
lot of them do.
fascination.
There's a whole world.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the reality. I'm 60, and
Girl, you make 60 look real good.
but if I go on Grinder, I'm the crypt keeper. And if I go on my app as Sherry, then I'm the unicorn. And I get the guys that I want. Like
The Harley Davidson
Yes,
guy from here,
honey,
the Tom of
yeah.
Finland guy.
I
Guys
want
that
a
would still out of your
40-year-old
purse.
man with a beard and tattoos that looks like rough trade. Like, that's what I like. And I'm not going to get that on Grinder out of drag. So
That is true.
anyway, it's kind of like, it's great. I mean, that's what I like, and that's perfect. And then they leave, and it's even better because then I take all this off, and I'm like, now I can watch my shows.
Ah, beautiful.
You take off your wig and like, let's go boxing. So you've only hooked up once in drag?
Well, I mean, a couple times. You know, I drink a little. But yeah, the one time I like brought some guy home. Some guy I met on the sidewalk.
You brought him home?
Yes,
From the
I
sidewalk?
don't make good choices, Alexander.
Oh my lord, it's already freaking me out.
Oh.
American Horror Story.
And he was like,
Allusia.
and he was pulling my hair, and it came off, and I'm like, it's fine, just hand me another one, honey. We can build a bitch.
I'm like, don't touch the hair, don't come on my face.
You don't like cum on your face?
No,
Not in
not in
makeup.
drag.
Missing out.
You know that's what after the makeup wipes. Don't get it in my wig. You can get it in my
Yeah.
hair, but not my wig.
That's why there's a DSW, honey.
Yeah.
I sent it in once to
is so
Ancestry.com. and they called me and they're like, "You're from every country."
Oh my god.
Okay, so one of your next singles needs to be Dick Sucking Wig.
Totally.
Dick Sucking Wig.
DSW.
All right, we need to wrap up. We got so many other questions. We have to do a part 2. I really like this one. I think this will end it on a positive note.
Okay.
You just seem to get along with all the drag queens, all the queer content creators. How do you stay so grounded and not in drama when there's so much drama out there?
She can't hear them.
I can't remember
she's
the
getting
next
her sassy
day.
pants
I can't remember
on.
the next day. I mean, I'm a happy person and I like to have fun. And if you're good to me, then I'm good to you. I mean, look, I can lose my shit, like try not to pay me. But
I mean, but that's your right, like to
yeah,
get
of course.
paid.
But
yeah.
I get along with queens because I respect them and I love them. I'm having fun. I feel so lucky to be 60 and still doing what I love doing. And don't hate me because I won't call my Instagram a platform. Come have a real conversation with me out of drag and a cup of coffee and we can talk shit.
Daylight hours.
There you go.
But it's funny because I've interviewed nice drag queens, and you still always hear that one person, oh, I had a negative experience like that. I have never heard anything bad with you from cast, crew, friends, not friends.
Oh, sure. I think that I am very diplomatic, treat people respectfully.
You come to work.
I come to work, and on my show, I feel like it's my name, and every single person from PA to superstar is equally important.
Hell yeah.
And you don't get involved in, we know Weho has a lot of drama.
Like I go to work. I don't get involved in drama. I'm there my job is to entertain. I'm there
And you
for the
pop up
audience.
like in so many different places too. I never hear people like jealous, like, oh, there she is again. Like people support you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I love what I do and I love drag.
It'll be like,
Yeah.
first ever annual Plumber's Pride. And, you know,
Hello, it's
yeah,
me.
it's
I did the
Allusia.
opening for a parking garage once.
But you own the audience, which I love. I just love. We will get to all the rest of your questions in a part 2, I'm hoping. But for now, Sherry, tell people where they can find and follow you.
Miss Sherry Vine on Instagram and sherryvine.com, which will give you links to where you can watch the Sherry Vine Variety Show.
Yes. And on Sniffies now.
Yes.
Soon to be Sniffy.
So I just have to ask, for your profile, do you just do like like a side with the.
Oh, I want to see your
with the
Grindr
wig.
profile picture.
It's not on Grindr.
Oh.
I'll teach you, girl. I'll show you all about it.
Okay.
You know, you have to have facial recognition, so it's not just a profile. It's like a full-on,
Oh.
well-lit headshot of Sherry Vaughn, so they
Not
know
your-
what they're getting.
Not your actor's headshot.
No.
You're like with the perm and the cowboy boots.
Oh, I just got the picture.
Allusia, where can people find and follow you?
Behind the alleyway at Mary's. My Instagram is Allusia to go, ALLUSIATOGO. Same for all social media platforms. Come find me.
Yes. What a fun episode. We talked about important things. We talked about poop
and pee.
and penis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Platform, poop, and penis. The peas.
The peas. The
We
three
talked about
P's.
all the peas.
Yeah. Trump that, Trump. Right?
Do you
God.
pee and pee? Penis and pee?
That's a whole other episode, girl. Anyway, that's all, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here every weekend on The Rocks. Big thank you to our engineer and station owner, Tony Sweet. Taylor Armstrong from Real Housewives of Orange County and Beverly Hills is coming on. Also, we have a very special next episode. We have Tony Award winner Marissa Jarrett Winokur, Tony nominee Carrie Butler, and Tony nominee Laura Bell Bundy in one episode, by the way. They're all coming together. So we're very excited about that. Also, for Halloween, we have a celebrity exorcist.
Ooh.
And she is the real deal. Freaked me out, and we love her, and she's glamorous, by the way. So she's coming on to start our Halloween season. Please like, share, subscribe, so we can continue bringing the show coming your way for free. By the way, I'm telling you, for free. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and if you drink, stay tipsy.
Amen.
This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week, stay fabulous.